And we are back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And for the third part of the show, we're going to take a look back at some of the past playoff matchups between the Packers and the 49ers. And I'll tell you this right now, a lot of these don't favor the Packers. Again, going into Saturday, it's a new era, but it could be more of the same. But I just wanted to take a look back. So we'll go way back to the 2012-2013 divisional playoff matchup. So you had the Packers, who were 11-5 on the regular season, taking on the 11-4-1 49ers. I wonder when that tie come. I don't remember when that tie happened, but so Alex Smith got hurt during the regular season, and that was when they made the change to Colin Kaepernick. Well, Colin Kaepernick stepped in, and then he never, Alex Smith never got his job back, and then he got traded to Kansas City. And then Patrick Mahomes got drafted, and then Alex Smith took him under his wing, and now we have Patrick Mahomes. But yeah, so the 49ers won this game 45-31. Very high-scoring game. Kaepernick actually threw a pick six in this game to Sam Shields. So the Packers went up, 7-0, but yeah, it went back and forth for a while, but then, the 49ers, they pulled away. And, this was kind of one of those games where it's like, Aaron Rodgers, your defense is just not helping you out in these playoffs. But, Rodgers, 257 yards passing, 2 touchdowns and a pick. He had a 82.4 QBR and a 91.5 quarterback rating. DeJuan Harris was their leading rusher in this game. Remember him? James Jones was their leading receiver. He had a touchdown. Greg Jennings had a touchdown. But Colin Kaepernick was the star of this game. 17-31, 263 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Obviously was the pick six. He had a 95.6 QBR and a 91.2 quarterback rating. But the big thing was, the 49ers, they ran the ball for 323 yards in this game. Kaepernick had 181 yards rushing and 2 rushing touchdowns. Frank Gore had 23 carries for 119 yards and a touchdown. Yeah, that's why the 49ers won this game, was because of their running game. Michael Crabtree, 9 receptions for 119 yards and 2 touchdowns. Yeah, it's just ugly game for the Packers defense, but believe me, it gets worse. You thought that was bad. Well, there's an NFC Championship game where the 49ers continue to run the ball against the Packers. So, yeah, you had this game. Then we'll go now to a year later. This was the 2013-2014 wildcard game. Wildcard game. This was now at Lambeau Field, because that was at Candlestick. And the 49ers won that game 23-20. Lower scoring game now. Rodgers, that was the year he broke one of his collarbones. He came back and he had that, that classic, Week 17 finale against the Bears that won them the NFC North. In this game, Kaepernick's stats aren't as, they don't stand out as much. He still had 98 yards rushing in the game, a couple of big runs in the game, 16-20 for 227 yards, a touchdown and a pick, quarterback rating or QBR of 88, and actually had a quarterback rating of 56.3. Yeah, so that wasn't good. Crabtree, leading receiver again, 125 yards receiving. And then on the Packers side, Rodgers, 17-26, 177 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions, 66.9 QBR, quarterback rating of 52.1. Eddie Lacy was their leading rusher at 81 yards, rushing on the ground. Jordy Nelson was their leading receiver. That's my guy, 7 receptions for 62 yards and a touchdown. But yeah, not a good offensive showing for the Packers in this game. Vernon Davis had a touchdown, I remember, in this game. Actually did watch the highlights for it the other day because they posted it, to get you hyped up for the matchup on Saturday. So yeah, that was the other matchup there. So now the next one now came in 2019, the 2019-2020 season, and that was the NFC Championship game. Now, we talked about Kaepernick and what he was able to do against that defense on the ground and the Niners running game in general. Well, then you also had Raheem Mostert, who ran for 220 yards in this game. So actually, the 49ers didn't run for as many yards. They had 285 yards, as opposed to the over 300 yards that they had in the divisional round. But yeah, Mostert, 29 carries, 220 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Now, Jimmy Garoppolo was the quarterback in this game. Only threw 8 passes. 6 of 8, 77 yards, 53.7 QBR, but a QB rating of 104.7. But yeah, that's because he didn't throw the ball. Deebo Samuel was their leading receiver. He had 2 receptions for 46 yards. But yeah, the running game, once again, the run defense for the Packers just had no answers. No answers for Raheem Mostert. Rodgers on the day went 31 of 39, 326 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He had a QBR of 23.3 and a quarterback rating of 97.2. And then you had Aaron Jones, who was their leading rusher, 12 for 56 and a touchdown. Devontae Adams was their leading receiver. He had 9 receptions for 138 yards. But yeah, I mean, this game got ugly early. I think it was like 20. I think this was like 27-0 at one point, right? Yeah, it was 27-0 at the half. Yeah, I mean, the Packers, not that, I mean, I guess they made it somewhat interesting when it was 34-20 with 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter. But it just, the Packers, I really did not think they were going to win this game. The game I did think they were going to win, even though I thought it was going to be tough, was the divisional round when the Packers were the 1 seed. And the 49ers obviously upset the Cowboys the week before that. Niners were coming in at 10-7. Packers obviously were 13-4. And the 49ers won the game without scoring an offensive touchdown. The final score in that game was 13-10. Jimmy Garoppolo, 11-19, 131 yards, no touchdowns and a pick. Quarterback rating of 57.1, a QBR of 14.7. Elijah Mitchell was their leading rusher. He had 53 yards on the ground. George Kittle was their leading receiver with 63 yards. Receiving, and then for the Packers, Rodgers went 20-29, 225 yards, no touchdown, no interceptions, a quarterback rating of 91.9 and a QBR of 22.6. Aaron Jones had 41 yards on the ground. A.J. Dillon had a rushing touchdown in this game. Yeah, this was interesting, though. So Rodgers only threw to 4 players. Or, no. He only, that was more than 4. But, like, only 3 people had receptions in the game. Allen Lazard had 1 reception for 6 yards. Devontae Adams had 9 for 90. And Aaron Jones had 9 for 129. And it looked like the Packers were going to dominate this game because they went right down the field on their first drive. And A.J. Dillon scores that touchdown, and you thought, oh, man, this game's going to be a blowout. And then they were driving again, and then Mercedes Lewis fumbled, and that kind of changed the momentum of the game. And then, you had the block punt late in the game. Ufanga scores the touchdown on that, and the game's tied. And everybody talks about on that third down play, Rodgers just throws it to Devontae Adams, and he had Allen Lazard wide open, and then the 49ers took it down the field, and Robbie Gould kicked the game-winning field goal, and the Niners beat the Packers again in the playoffs. So yeah, the past hasn't been too kind to the Packers when it comes to the 49ers. And listen, the Packers' run defense has been a problem. They had to deal with Kaepernick and Frank Gore and then Raheem Mostert. Well, guess what you got to deal with now? Christian McCaffrey. So good luck with that. And also Deebo Samuel, of course, because he can run the football as well. Now, again, the Packers played a very good game against the Cowboys. There's no question about it. Their defense played well. They forced turnovers. They got to the quarterback. They had a great game plan for that game. But it's going to be completely different now when you're playing the 49ers. They're rested, and they are not going to take the Packers lightly in this game. Because you could argue that the Cowboys might have did that with the Packers this past week. The 49ers are not going to do that. They are going to be prepared for this game. Now, we've seen some games this year where the 49ers defense has struggled. We have seen that. So And Jordan Love, he's going to spread the ball around. With the divisional round that I just talked about when the Packers were the 1 seed, you know, Rodgers was just force feeding to Devontae Adams and Aaron Jones. Jordan Love I think, is going to spread the ball around. You got so many of these young receivers that can make plays. I mean, Jaden Reed, who was playing really well, he didn't do anything in the game against the Cowboys. So the issue for me too also is the Packers are going to struggle to run the football. They're not going to be able to run the football like I don't think Aaron Jones is going to have the game like he did against the Cowboys against the 49ers. I don't think it's going to happen. So the Jordan Love is going to have to make more plays in this game. They're going to have to throw it more. And again, we've seen the 49ers back end struggle, against the Vikings, against the Bengals when Joe Burrow was healthy. They've had some problems. So if the offensive line can hold up for Jordan Love and give him time to throw, you know what? I think the Packers are going to put up a better fight in this game than I think most people think. And, people are saying, hey, it's prisoner of the moment because they just, they beat the Cowboys the way they did. But I don't know. Jordan Love's been playing good football for a while now. And this is going to be a big test for him. And listen, again, I mean, the Packers, they shouldn't even be here. They're playing with house money right now. So, yeah, if they go out and get destroyed, then they get destroyed. But the 49ers have been too good this year. They've had some struggles, and obviously against the Ravens, that was bad. That was a bad loss too. But you know what? This team is very good. This is one of the best teams in the NFL, the best team in the NFC by far. It's not even close, especially with what And I said, what the top, 3 teams were, or at least the top teams were in the NFC, and the Cowboys, they were like number 2, but. You know what? I mean, the 49ers, after what happened this past week, it's not even close. They are the best team in the NFC by far. And I don't want to disrespect the Lions because they're still there, but you know what? Let's see if they match up against each other in the championship game. But the 49ers, it's gonna be a tough task for the Packers. I mean, you just beat the 2-seeded Cowboys. It doesn't get any easier because now you're playing the 49ers. And in the past, Packers have struggled to stop the run. And it doesn't get any easier now because now you got to deal with Christian McCaffrey. Deebo Samuel's, they're going to have some running plays for him. And on top of that, I mean, Ayuk and George Kittle, there is a ton of weapons on this offense. And then for the Packers offense going up against the Niners defense, are they going to be able to hold up and protect Jordan Love? Jordan Love can move around, so it's not like he's going to be, sitting back there and I don't know what that was. It's not like he's going to be just sitting back there and he can't move and they're going to, get to him. And you know what? When the pressure was coming, he still stood tall in that pocket and he let it rip. And made some great throws in the game against the Cowboys. So, we'll see what happens. I mean, we're going to preview this game tomorrow, and I'll give you my my picks for it. I think this game will be. I think this game's going to be better than people think. But then again, it does make me nervous when Kyle Shanahan said he started preparing for the Packers. When it was 27-0. So, we'll see. But we're going to take our now final break of the show, and then when we come back, we're going to talk about his third time's a charm for Josh Allen because now he's playing Patrick Mahomes once again in the playoffs, and we'll discuss that when we come back. Obviously, the Bills lost the previous 2 matchups against the Chiefs in the playoffs, so we'll talk about, is this the time now for Josh Allen and the Bills to get over that hump and finally beat the Chiefs in the playoffs. So, for one final time on the show today, stick around and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.